Hello, Dare to Dream team. We're so excited that you guys are on this call tonight, and I am especially excited because this is like one of our first product training calls, sadly enough, like our live, at least a live one, and I know so many of you are pumped, and I'm really excited because I have a friend of mine who's actually not on our team and is graciously taking time out tonight to speak with us and share her knowledge with us. And her name is Diamond Rachael Neagle. She's from Lubbock, Texas. And she's just going to share a little bit about our amazing products, how they work, just kind of more detailed, more than I can give you guys. And she is like kind of my go-to person if I have questions about, okay, what's happening with this person? What's happening with this on this product? And she's always willing to help. And so I just first appreciate you, Rachael, for being on with us tonight. So I'm just going to let you take it away and get started, and we'll kind of check back at the end. So, all right.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be with you guys tonight. Talking about the products is really, I know that we're always supposed to kind of be being pushed out of our comfort zone, but the products are like my big, warm, fuzzy blanket because the products are really what drew me to the company to begin with. I was someone who never set out to do network marketing, never had any desire to it, would get those messages in my inbox and it would just be like, nope, thank you. But God obviously knew what he was doing when he connected my need for these products in my life with the opportunity to be a part of such a fabulous company. So my plan tonight is to basically take what can seem very complex and very overwhelming and very like, oh my gosh, I don't know about this. This person's given me this question, and really give you guys just 1 to 2 sentences, takeaways in layman's terms that you can explain to your potentials, or even if you're helping, wholesale customers or teammates troubleshoot what is going on with them. So I am basically, I used to do this training before, and I think it would go on for like 2 hours, and it was like a total snooze fest. And so I've gotten a little bit better at it. I'm going to not keep you guys a long time tonight. And I'm really just going to follow the format that corporate has been amazing to give us. I loved at convention when they broke it down into weeding, seeding, feeding, and protecting. And just begin to create, in everything that I'm talking about tonight, begin to create that picture in your mind of a garden. I was telling Suzanne, we were visiting before we hopped on, that my degree is actually in agriculture. And I really like to garden. We haven't ever grown like vegetables, but I love, one of my favorite things every spring is to get my hands in the dirt and to begin the process of, getting my gardens all beautiful. So keep that imagery, especially if you're a visual person, of a garden in your background. So the first thing that we're going to talk about tonight is weeding. So if we immediately go to that picture of, okay, winter's over, spring is coming, I'm ready to go out and plant my flower beds. What is the first thing that you've got to do? You've got to clean the flower bed out. You've got to get rid of all the dead plants. You've got to get rid of all the weeds. You've got to get rid of the old mulch. You've got to dig down to the soil or to the matter that is in there, and make sure that that is healthy and established before you ever try to go in and put anything else into it. So the weeding aspect of our product regimen begins with ProBio 5. ProBio 5 is a 3-in-1 fungal killer. So yes, it has 5 probiotic strains in it, but those probiotic strains were never really, they're not strains that repopulate or recolonize the gut. They are probiotic strains that work to eliminate bad bacteria. So we've always kind of described it as a 3-in-1 system because you've got a combination of those 5 probiotics, of digestive enzymes, and then the kind of standout probiotic strain, which is actually a yeast, is Saccharomyces boulardii. And the combination of those three different, probiotic, like I said, the enzymes, and then the Saccharomyces boulardii is what really goes in and weeds the bad stuff out of your gut. It's, like I said before, there was never enough, and it's one of the reasons that we always have to tell people, work up to 4, work up to 5, however many ProBio 5 it took to get the results that we wanted, because there was never enough colony forming units. And you guys, as you're reaching out to potentials, especially ones who maybe are savvy and know a little bit about probiotics, probably one of the questions that you're going to get is, well, how many live strains does it have in it? How many CFUs, or that CFU stands for colony forming units, in it? And ProBio 5 only had 2 billion, which is relatively low. And so, like I said, it wasn't intended to repopulate or recolonize the gut. But it did do some, and we have the testimonies to back all of this up, of the amazing results that people got from it just by getting rid of the bad bacteria. One of the things that's really special about ProBio 5 is the fact that it contains those enzymes that I mentioned before. And what those enzymes do is, I'm from West Texas. Every year around a certain time, we get these nasty beetle bugs that show up, and they all have that hard shell on the outside of them, and that shell is like an exoskeleton. And so what happens if you stomp on it? Well, it crunches and all the yucky stuff comes out. The bad, I like to call them critters, or bacteria that live in your gut, have a protective layer over them that's called biofilm. And the enzymes that are in ProBio 5 literally shred and degrade that biofilm, so that the Saccharomyces boulardii, which works as the antifungal, can literally just devour the bad gut bacteria. So that's the weeding aspect of what the triplex system does. Now remember, it's very important that we include BioCleanse as part of this weeding phase too, because if all you're doing is taking the probiotic, and of course we want to prepare people for the fact that when that biofilm is being broken down, when the bad guys are starting to be starved out or killed off, when they die, they release their toxins. And that is what causes people to experience the detox that we talk about so often. And detox symptoms can be, on the milder end of things, a couple of days of feeling crummy. I remember when I started the products, I remember telling my husband, like, I feel like I'm coming down with something, like, and is it allergies or is it like the flu? And I had great sponsors that coached me through, oh, no, this is die-off. This is actually a good sign. It shows that it's working. And I was fortunate that, my die-off was not that bad. But y'all, die-off can be very extreme for some people. Those toxins have to make their way out of the body in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And the most efficient way to get rid of them is by removing them through regular daily bowel movements, which is why BioCleanse is so important, because it helps to remove the harmful substances. And it also has, here's kind of a word we're going to come back to a couple of times tonight. It's got bioflavonoids in it. That help to support the body's natural detoxification process. So as you're starting people out on the products, that's the reason why it's so important to make sure that we use these two products in tandem, because, and this is where you've got to be willing to have awkward and uncomfortable conversations with people. I know it's weird to ask people how often they poop, but you're just going to have to get over that weirdness, because one of the things that I never realized until I got into Plexus was the number of people that legitimately think that it's normal to go to the bathroom and have a bowel movement once a week or every 10 days. I've read statistics, and I'm sure y'all have seen people post about the fact that they estimate that the average person in the United States has about 8 pounds of feces backed up in them. That's why when people go to get colonoscopies, they have to take that dreaded, I can't remember what it's called, but it's to flush everything out because it's just so typical for people to be backed up. So after the call, I've got a little graphic. I didn't make it. Somebody else did, but it's brilliant. I will send it to Suzanne and have her post it. But it's kind of a way to get the order in which we would start the triplex. So if you talk to somebody and they're like, girl, I already go to the bathroom every day just fine, then I'm comfortable with you starting them on BioCleanse and ProBio 5 at the same time. But if you talk to somebody who's struggling with constipation, it's really important that you have them begin the BioCleanse first, get those bowels moving and functioning before we add in the ProBio 5 too quickly, because otherwise they're going to be miserable, and people who feel miserable are going to quit. They're going to walk away. They don't have the belief yet. They're not invested enough yet. So the weeding aspect of our regimen is the ProBio 5 and the BioCleanse. Those are absolutely essential. So now you've got your garden ready, right? So the next thing that we're going to do is, and this is where I don't want y'all to get confused, because I'm going to say it out of order of how I want you to do it, but I want to follow the kind of language that corporate has given us, which is weed, seed, and feed. I feel very, very passionately that with new customers, they need to start on triplex and be on triplex for 30 to 60 days before you introduce VitalBiome. Some people, they may do so well. I mean, it really just depends upon the person's level of gut toxicity. But I do not suggest introducing VitalBiome in the first month. I suggest that you wait and you see how they do and how you can troubleshoot with them on triplex. Because when we start, my philosophy is always low and slow. When we start too many people off on too many new things at one time, and then they have a bad experience or a negative reaction or something, happens, then we don't know what it was, and we've got to stop and take a step backwards and reintroduce things one at a time again. So after you have your customers on triplex for, like I said, 30, 60 days, introduce the VitalBiome. VitalBiome is a powerhouse probiotic. So I told you guys that ProBio 5 had 2 billion live cultures in it. VitalBiome has 20 billion colony forming units in it. That's all in one pill. And so it is, it's a massive onslaught of really good, really intelligent, clinically, what's the word that I'm looking for? Efficacious, is that how you say that word? That's always a weird one for me. Basically, it at the dose that is in VitalBiome are the levels of bacteria that in clinical studies have been shown, if you have this much of it, this is where we get a positive result. Whereas a lot of companies will say, oh yeah, this has bifidobacterium in it and it'll do all these great things for you, but they're cheap, and so they only put like a little bit of it in, not the level that was actually studied where we started to yield good results. So that's one of the things that I love about VitalBiome. It's like a real dose probiotic. We know from the information that corporate has given us regarding the clinical studies that it's demonstrated to improve health and happiness. It definitely has clinical documentation that it helps people so much that struggle with mood issues, with anxiety disorders, with any kind of gastrointestinal distress. It also really helps to stabilize your stress hormones. Now, the asterisk I'm going to put there is stabilize, because there was a lot of misinformation that came out at the beginning that it was going to reduce cortisol levels, which for the vast majority of the population who struggles with stress, we do need to reduce our cortisol levels. But there is a segment of the population that fall into the very extreme category of adrenal fatigue that they actually need more cortisol. They don't make enough of it. So this is really just like, it's not going to harm someone who has low cortisol to begin with. It's just going to help the body's response to stress, which every single one of us need. So that is the seeding aspect of this weed seed feed. But remember, I don't want you to add this in until you've had people on triplex and doing well on that. I know that we were told one VitalBiome in the morning on an empty stomach, and that has worked great for a lot of people. But we are all highly individual, and what works for one person may not work for someone else. So if you feel that you do better taking VitalBiome at night, take it at night. It's always better to take something, even if it's out of the recommended order, than it is to just forget it and not take it at all. The same thing is kind of true for BioCleanse. You know, the label recommends taking 2 before lunch and 2 before dinner, but some people that do that get really bad bloating. They don't respond to it well. So we have them move it to bedtime with ProBio 5, and they do great. So it's all about finding the regimen and the system that works best for you. It's going to work no matter what. It's just about fitting it into your day in a way that is the most beneficial for you. So now let's move on to Slim, because that is the feeding aspect of the weed feed seed protocol. The new Slim, it still has all the same benefits that it did before. It still works to balance blood sugar. It still helps to work to lower cholesterol and give you a healthy lipid profile. It still helps with overall weight management. It's been clinically demonstrated to help with weight loss. So it still has all the same benefits that it had before. But the key to the change, a couple of things that they did. One, they took out the polydextrose that was in it. And some of you may have gotten messages from people, especially people who are a little crunchy, that had an issue with polydextrose. So we don't have to worry about that anymore because it's out of there. They swapped that out with XOS, which is the prebiotic fiber. That's also what is making it dissolve a lot easier, lets you mix it in cold water, etc. So we know it's clinically demonstrated to promote weight loss, but now that they've added the prebiotic fiber to it, it also helps to feed the good gut bacteria. So especially once you add in VitalBiome, it's like you've gone in and you've put in all these beautiful new plants. We want to make sure that we're feeding them. And I always explain, I mean, look, there's several different versions of prebiotic fiber that are out on the market. Plexus was really, really genius when they sourced XOS because it is like an intelligent prebiotic. It's the only that we know of yet, that's been discovered yet, prebiotic that feeds only the good gut bacteria. So if you go back to that garden analogy, and let's say you didn't weed first, you just went in and you stuck your plants in and there's weeds growing in with them, well, you'd never put Miracle-Gro on your weeds, right? Who would want to make the bad stuff grow? But with other prebiotics, that's essentially what is happening. And so the great thing about XOS is that it only feeds the good gut bacteria. It's a patent pending formula. And I love the way that Cindy described this, is that the real magic that happens, I mean, you can get on Amazon and look up XOS prebiotic fiber, and you could order a bottle of that and just take it, but you would not get the same results that you would by taking it combined with Slim, because our Slim is loaded with what is called polyphenols. Polyphenols are basically micronutrients that are antioxidants that are found abundantly in fruits and vegetables, especially ones that fall onto the very colorful spectrum of, like, the dark, rich colored berries and, purple potatoes and things like that. So the great thing about polyphenols is that they are, proven to be preventative in several diseases like diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, all really bad stuff. But polyphenols also help to slow the progression of those diseases as well. The polyphenols are part of they work in conjunction with the XOS as a prebiotic. So obviously it's going to help to increase the ratio of beneficial bacteria in your gut. And that's important for everything. I mean, the more good gut bacteria you have, the healthier you're going to be, the better your immunity is going to be. It helps with weight management. And like I mentioned before, it helps with disease prevention. So the real magic that happens with our newly reformulated Slim is that you've got the combination of the polyphenols that were already in the original version, but now we've added this XOS to it. And, you guys have probably heard the statistics that they gave us ad nauseum, but I will just remind you that two bacteria in particular that stood out were lactobacillus, that increased by 365 times, and the bifidobacteria by 290 times once they added the XOS to the Slim. The other thing that they really didn't expect was to see that increase in Akkermansia, and that increased by 250 times. And I actually saw a segment on the Today Show this morning with Dr. Oz where he was talking about Akkermansia, and he was talking about the Akkermansia. Once you can turn your body's Akkermansia on, your body becomes a fat-fighting machine. So one of the things, that Cindy shared with us at convention, for those of you that were there, is that typically Akkermansia is found in the gut microbiome of people who are lean, and low levels are found virtually non-existent levels are found in people who are typically overweight or struggle with some kind of metabolic issue. So I know that's a lot of information, and I know that that not everybody has the brain that I have, and I want to assure you, you don't have to have this kind of brain and this kind of passion for research to be successful at this business, to become a jewel, to become a diamond, to become any of those things. Obviously, the beauty of Plexus is our one Plexus culture. Suzanne mentioned we're not on the same team, but we love to help one another and troubleshoot with one another, and etc. So I do want to point out two things to you real quick. Those of you that that already have a success kit, like you got a physical success kit when you joined the company, remember that you have these product cards that came with it. If you're going to meet a potential or you're going to have coffee with a friend, tuck these things in your purse. Everything that I just told you, for the most part, is on these cards. And so if they've got a question about, well, what are some of the ingredients in X Factor, or what are some of the benefits of taking Edge, you can just pull your card out and show it to them. You don't have to be, I like to think that it's my affectionate nickname from my team is Cliff Clavin. Like, you don't have to have the Cliff Clavin brain. These things will do it for you. If you don't have, like, especially people who've just joined recently, right now our success kits are digital because of all of the rebranding. You can still get these and print them off, but an even better thing, I think, is get in your back office and under marketing materials, you can order the catalogs. And this is the summer catalog. It has all the information on all of the new products. It's beautiful. It's a great marketing tool and resource, but you can open it up and it's going to tell you some of the exact same information that's on these cards. Plus, you have the added benefit of being able to leave it with your potential, and they can flip through it. And I've done this several times, and it was somebody that initially only wanted triplex, but then they read about block or they read about boost, and they're like, oh, I think I want to add that to my product regimen as well. So this is a great resource. Lastly, just wanted to talk to you guys about the protect part of the weed, seed, feed. Now we're going into protect, and that is going to be X Factor Plus or Original X Factor. Now, I loved Original X Factor. I didn't think that it could get any better than what it already was. I was one of those people as a person with thyroid issues and other hormone issues that I would be taking all of these supplements that my doctor was telling me to supplement with, and I would go to get my labs done, and my B12 was still low, and my vitamin D was still in the toilet, and my folate didn't look good, and I would just think, how many of these vitamins am I supposed to be swallowing a day? And they even put me on a liquid one, which, oh my God, if you've ever had to take a liquid vitamin, it is awful. And all of a sudden, when I started taking X Factor, I'd go and I'd get my labs done, and it was like suddenly everything was in the range that it was supposed to be in. Well, that's because it was formulated with the aloe leaf. And there was a study done at Scranton University on when you take vitamins in conjunction with aloe vera, it drastically increases the ability for the body to absorb those nutrients. Now, the exact mechanism for why that is, I'm not sure is fully understood. But one of the things that we know about aloe vera is that, I grew up we had an aloe vera plant in my house, and if I got a burn or a sunburn, you'd rub aloe vera on it, right? Well, that's because burns, sunburns, etc., are a form of inflammation. So when you start taking this aloe and you're putting it in your gut and you're already doing all of this other good stuff for your gut, the aloe vera helps to reduce that inflammation so that your body is better able to absorb those nutrients. Now, I actually had the opportunity, I was at corporate in November and got to visit with Dr. Zhang, who is like the product formulator over all of our products department now. And he's like, just Google his resume. It's absolutely impressive. And one of the things that he shared with us is that he specifically wanted to reformulate X Factor, not because it wasn't good to begin with, but because it wasn't really a complete multivitamin. It was a great B complex vitamin. B complex vitamins, like that's your B1 all the way to your B12. Each and every one of those have very specific and valuable functions to the body, but man, there's a whole host of other vitamins out there. So when they reformulated X Factor, they wanted to make it a higher potency of those B complex vitamins. They wanted to make sure that they used the most bioavailable forms. Bioavailable means this is the easiest version of this vitamin for the body to absorb. One of the changes that was made a couple of years ago when they swapped out folic acid for methylfolate, the reason for doing that is that folic acid is a synthetic vitamin. So your body has to take that, and then it has to go through this very complicated step of turning it in to the methylfolate that the body needs. Well, why not just remove that? Like, why not remove that in case there's a faulty mechanism involved? Let's just give you the bioavailable version to begin with. They also did some other really great things like vitamin D. Y'all, vitamin D is like, I'm in love with that vitamin. I could talk about it all day long. It's actually not even a vitamin. It's pro-hormone, and you have to have adequate vitamin D levels for your hormones to be made. So if you're struggling in the hormone department, make sure your vitamin D levels are where they need to be. But vitamin D is not always easily absorbed. So again, combining it with the aloe, but the addition of vitamin K2, the latest research over the last couple of years has been that if you'll take a supplement that has vitamin D3 and vitamin K2 in it, you'll see those vitamin D levels go up higher. It's better for, protecting your bones, better for overall immunity. You can take extra, if you find that, okay, I'm taking an X Factor and my vitamin D is looking better, but it's still not really where it needs to be, you can add in an additional vitamin D supplement without any issue or problem. I would not suggest just upping and taking more X Factors, because there are some of the vitamins in there that that you don't, sometimes too much of a good thing is not a good thing. So the X Factor Plus also contains polyphenols. So we're going back to that polyphenol blend and all of its gut protecting benefits. X Factor Plus now has 100% or more of the recommended daily allowance of 19 vitamins and minerals. And that's a question that I got a lot from people. It was like, okay, that's great that it has vitamins in it, but what about minerals? I mean, minerals are very essential, and most of us are very deficient in minerals, period, because of the way that our crops are grown and the soil is depleted from minerals. So we need to be supplementing with those anyway, and I am all for having to take one supplement to get all of this stuff versus like, oh, I've got to take a vitamin and then I got to do a mineral supplement, etc. It also contains some naturally occurring trace minerals as well. A couple of the ones that really stood out to me are that they used what they call versions that are chelated. And so that makes it easier for the body to absorb. They added selenium to it. Selenium is absolutely essential for anybody who struggles with a thyroid disorder, but especially people who have Hashimoto's disease, because it helps your body to convert your T4 hormone into your T3 hormone, which is the one that gives your body all of its energy. And a lot of people, the vast majority of people with any kind of thyroid problem are not good converters. So that there's a faulty mechanism there somewhere. So taking selenium helps them to turn into good converters. Some of the great things that we've seen come from the X Factor Plus is people seem to have a sense of more clarity, like the brain fog is gone, the concentration is improved, a boost in energy level and metabolism. That happens especially because of, like I said, having the more bioavailable versions of the B vitamins, improvement in mood. This also works alongside the other products to just create the most hospitable environment possible for your gut. And then one of the great results that we got to hear Helen McFadden discuss on stage at convention is the fact that it's been shown, because it contains grapeseed extract, it helps to reduce hot flashes. So I am 43. I just had my 43rd birthday this week. And at about the age of 35, most women will enter into what is called pre-menopause or perimenopause. So your hormones are starting to decline. It's the years leading up to menopause. And it's common, even during this phase, to be experiencing hot flashes or night sweats. You don't have to be in full-blown menopause to benefit from taking this multivitamin. And the last one that I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight is ease. And ease seems to be in the plexus sphere right now as something a bunch of people realized wasn't good for them, and all of a sudden they've decided that if they take 20 a day, it's great for them. I don't want you taking 20 E's a day. I actually had the opportunity to visit with the doctor that formulated Ease and asked him about a loading dose. Why would you do a loading dose with Ease? The old bottles actually used to have a loading dose on it. They don't anymore. And he said it's basically just because when you have people in pain, you want to get them out of pain faster. So you have them take a loading dose when they have a remission of symptoms, they can go to a maintenance dose. So the loading dose that's recommended is 2 to 3 E's 3 times per day. So at most, that's what, like 9 per day? Am I doing my math right, Suzanne? um, and then after you've been on that for a month or maybe 2 months, you can cut that back to 2 per day. I recommend E's to everybody because I think that one of the number one things that we all battle is inflammation. If you're going through stress, you're dealing with inflammation. If you've got weight to lose, there's an inflammatory component to it. If you're dealing with any kind of skin issue like rosacea or acne or eczema, that is just an outward reflection of internal inflammation. It is showing up on the outside of your skin because something inside of you is inflamed. And years ago, Time magazine put out an issue that said inflammation, the silent killer. And you can have massive levels of inflammation in your body and not even be aware that you have it. So the only people that I would not recommend E's for are people that have a shellfish allergy, and that is because it is made from the green-lipped mussel, which is a shellfish. Some of the things that are really great about it are that it contains bromelain and serrapeptase, which are enzymes that help to get excess protein that's being stored in your muscles. It helps to get that and flush it out of the body. So a lot of people that deal with conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, E's is great for them because it helps to get that extra protein out of the muscles. We've got a lot of people that have incredible testimonials about migraines and how they've found relief with E's. I have people on my team that have been able to get off medications for rheumatoid arthritis because of using the triplex system and E's. I also recommend it if you have people that come to you that have any kind of gastrointestinal issues or diagnoses like like IBS or Crohn's disease or anything that's in that vein. If they're struggling with that, that means they've got inflammation in their bowels, and we want to get that inflammation eradicated as quickly as possible. So that's my story.
That's all you're going to give us? I mean, such little information. No, I seriously have 4 pages of notes, so I am super excited. This is some of the most in-depth product training I've had in a little while. So thank you so much. And if you guys jumped on a little bit late, make sure you go back and watch the recording because, our products is what makes us have a business, and our amazing products are where it's at. They work. We need to make sure we know about them. We understand them. We can explain. We can troubleshoot with people. And so this information is so important. So I'm pretty passionate about making sure everybody gets good training on this. And Rachel, I can't think of hardly anybody else to do it, which is why I asked you. So I really appreciate you. It's clearly your gift. And this has been fantastic. So I can't wait. And I'll be looking for that.
I'll send you that graphic.
Yeah, send that to me and I'll post it on my team page and everything. So I appreciate you so much. You did not have to do this. I know it's taking time out of your evening. So everybody have a good night. Thanks for listening and happy Wednesday, and we'll talk to you later. All right, thanks guys. Bye-bye.